more heart than the House version does. It's being written behind closed doors, and frustration over that is growing among senators of both parties. Here's Chief Congressional Correspondent Nancy Cordes.
I think that's a bell telling me we're done.
Senate Democrats held up hearings and resorted to stunts today to make a case about secrecy.
We're trying to point out the absurd today.
3 of them live-streamed a jaunt to the Congressional Budget Office, where they tried to get a hold of the Senate health care bill.
Republicans are shutting us and the American public out of this process. No public hearings, no meetings, secret negotiations.
There's nothing happening in secret here.
Republican leaders promised to release a draft on Thursday and said there's a simple reason Democrats have been shut out.
They've made it clear earlier they were not interested in participating in this. They have no interest in it whatsoever, so it makes no sense.
So are they invited into your planning sessions?
Into the Republican conference, no, but they made it clear they're not interested in helping.
We've sent him umpteen letters that say just the opposite.
Democratic leader Chuck Schumer shared some of those letters with CBS News. If repeal is abandoned, we stand ready to work with you. Now, even some Republicans are complaining. They're in the dark.
I'm sure that maybe the Russians have been able to hack in and gotten most of it, but I haven't seen it.
If you're frustrated by the lack of transparency in this process, I share your frustration.
Utah Senator Mike Lee posted that message on Facebook, even though he's one of the 13 men supposedly crafting the bill.
It's not being written by us. It's apparently being written by a small handful of staffers for members of the Republican leadership in the Senate.
Part of the reason that Republican leaders are being so vague is that they're trying to craft a bill that will win over conservatives like Lee and more moderate Republicans like McCain. And so none of the details are truly final, Anthony, until they feel they've hit on something that can garner the support of 50 out of the 52 Senate Republicans.
Nancy Cordes on Capitol Hill. Thanks, Nancy. What is so rare as a day in June? A news briefing at the White House. Julianna Goldman is there.
Good afternoon.
For the first time in 8 days, Press Secretary Sean Spicer allowed cameras to record the White House briefing.
We've looked at a lot of data that suggests that when you look at the number of availabilities and interviews that the president's given, it's pretty significant compared to past administrations.
Records kept by CBS News indicate Mr. Trump has actually done fewer interviews and press conferences at this point in his presidency than his predecessor. The president's last sit-down interview was over a month ago, and he's held one solo press conference in February. Despite being the president's chief spokesman, Spicer couldn't answer key questions, like whether the president agrees with the intelligence community's assessment that Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
I have not sat down and talked to him about that specific thing.
Or whether the president has seen a draft of the Senate's health care bill.
I don't know if he's seen the legislation or not, but
opaqueness goes beyond the briefing room, like keeping secret records of White House visitors. A link to a page that's supposed to post staff salaries says it's still being updated, and Mr. Trump has yet to release his tax returns, parting with decades of presidential precedent.
I have been under audit almost like since I became famous. Okay.
Mr. Trump's Justice Department has also directed federal agencies to limit information they provide Congress, drawing the ire of even Republicans like Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Charles Grassley. In a letter to the president, Grassley called the department's policy absurd and nonsense.
The president's defenders say his